The SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series. 4 years of exciting one-make motor racing. This year, a big field of 28 cars lined up with the opening rounds from Hampton Downs to Pukekohe and Taupo. Number 2 NZ Rowan Shepherd trying to take the number 1 of Daniel Connor. SsangYong Action Racing Series brought to you by BNZ, LDV, Hankook, Elf and BGW Wheels. The SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series headed back to Hampton Downs for round 4. Between Hamilton and Auckland, it's the hub of petrol heads in the North Waikato. With the defending champion Daniel Connor missing one in the rounds, number 2 NZ Rowan Shepherd finally has that chance to take the title after always being the runner-up. But in between, 6 wonderful women drivers, young stars like Callum Hedge, 16-year-old Peter Vidanovic, the scholarship winner, and a whole stack of weekend warriors just getting the buzz of just going motor racing at a real good budget price. That's one of the great features of this series. 28, Peter Bennett heads the field along with Callum Hedge, Ryan Bailey, Daniel Connor, Paul Booth and Christina All-West as we line up for race 1 of 4 in round 4 at Hampton Downs. And great to see Racing Ray Williams switching from Porsche racing into the Action Ute Racing Series. So the Super SsangYongs all set to rock and roll at Hampton Downs. One of the key features about this opening race, Mark Pedersen, is the fact that the defending champion is in the mid-pack, but the man who currently leads the series, Rowan Shepherd, is way back in P9.
A lot of work to do, isn't he? I've spoken to him before this, and he said, look, we're challenged with the speed of the Ute, but he's got enough racecraft, enough experience that he'll come through the field. But look at this, isn't this magnificent? 28 of these angry little Utes racing around this magnificent Hampton Downs track, and a lot of sideways movement there, Brownie, but the Kiwi delivered in driver's briefing. Keep it clean, but go hard.
Yes, the main message about this whole series right throughout this year is maintain your speed, but give each other racing room, which easier said than done. We have a massive, colourful sight like this, 28. And I love that term angry, because they do sound like angry birds, don't they?
Well, they do, and sometimes the red mist does ascend, and if someone gives someone a tap, it's the retaliation, which is a part that we're trying to get out of these guys. Look, it's going to happen. It happens in every form of racing, but if it's good, hard, honest, clean racing, that's all we ask for.
Daniel Connor, a great shot on board there. You see the other guys sweeping out of the Porsche dipper here at Hampton Downs. One of the great features about this track is the undulating sort of surface changes and the highs and the lows. So it really is great track for these particular type of cars.
Oh, it certainly is. And to give you an idea how much evolution we've had in terms of Ute speed, if we rewind the clock back a year, they're now a second faster with the same spec vehicle than what we had back then. So it just goes to prove. And you can hear in the background noise, you can hear the tyre squealing. That's the confidence coming out in all of these drivers throwing these Utes into the corners, knowing that they're very forgiving and very safe.
Peter Bennett, number 28, he's had a fantastic weekend so far, very quick in qualifying. Now all about handling the pressure of being the man out in front. Right behind him, 17, Callum Hedge. Talk about a young gun. He's only, 14 years old. And look at the way he's throwing this Ute around as they up and over, turns 2 and 3 down into the higher pull hairpin number 4.
You're right, he got thrown it in, but it's also the level of racecraft that this young fella has developed over the last year. It has to be seen to be believed. You know, if we rewind the clock back to his first season, there was a couple of points in there that he's been working on, a couple of items that he's been addressing. He's got good leadership from Mark Petch in there as well, so that's what's paying him dividends.
So this is how they go, 2 wide around the dipper, which is one of the other great features about this whole racing series is, as you can see, a whole stack of cars can be 2 or 3 wide throughout 2 or 3 corners on the same lap at the same time.
Yeah, that wasn't the case last season when we were here, Brownie. People were dive bombing inside and removing each other off the track, and it just caused a lot of upheaval to everybody. So they're working, but this is what I love about SsangYong Utes. Door to door, side by side, corner for corner, lap after lap. And this is the bump drafting, this is the drafting. This is worth 8 kilometres an hour to the Ute behind the one in front, essentially, punching the big hole, pulling out of the draft. 8 kilometres an hour, believe it or not.
2.3 litre motors. Of course, every Ute is basically the same. They've got the control tyre as well. So as a V8 driver and as the DSO, the message seems to be getting across about the craft of racing, about how you give each other racing room and you can still have that need for speed without all the smashes and the crashes.
Yeah, right, but what happens if you stick your nose up the inside of someone and you take all the ute speed out of you and whoever else, you get caught up in the freight train, and that's because everybody else has got a bit of momentum and you're slowing down. You're going to get swamped not by one, but possibly 3, 4 or 5 utes at the time. So, you know, you've got to develop that racecraft, you've got to develop the respect, and you've got to keep the flow going, keep the momentum. Look, we've got 3 into 1, a little bit of rubbing.
Daniel's been pushed wide there, so number 1, Daniel Connor, sneaks up the inside to try and make that pass going into the dipper, but Hedge cuts him off.
That's the presence of mind of Callum Hedge. He knew there was 3 going in there. He gave everybody racing room and continued out in second place. Fantastic.
A couple of great efforts in qualifying. Paul Booth from the South Island, Mark Mallard from Auckland, Christina Allwest and Alexandra Whitley leading the female charge inside that top 10. You'll see the orange ute there. That's number 2, Rowan Shepherd. And, of course, the big story about this whole championship, he's the guy that's sick of being the runner-up, and he's finally got the chance to take the title. But can he handle the pressure this weekend? 4 races before we head into the big endurance series to decide the championship at Pukekohe in the next round. So nervous, apprehension. That's the feeling with the drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. When you're the championship leader and you come into a round where you don't have much speed to begin with, you do one of 2 things. You either chase it and go backwards, or alternatively, you just let the track and the speed come back to you. So that's what he's done. He's said, well, this is the package we've got. We're going to take it into this weekend and see what comes of it. Look, he's championship contender. We know that from the previous classes he's been in. He's been bridesmaid here a couple of times. He's got the skill. He's got the team. It's just a matter of waiting it for all the pieces to fall into place, and that's what he's doing right now.
Great job at the moment by number 28. That's Peter Bennett. I've got to say, Mork, really, really impressed with his improvement as a driver.
Oh, considering it's only second series in this category, and probably the second time he's actually raced anything at all. So for him, when he looks in the mirror and he sees an awful lot of up-and-coming superstars in New Zealand motorsport and a lot of established superstars in New Zealand motorsport, it is one heck of an effort.
Great sight down that short straight coming out of the Porsche Dipper. Round 4, Hampton Downs, the SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series, and there's number 2, Rowan Shepherd, under pressure at the moment. But as you can see, more single file now as they sort of get that sort of feeling for the race as it is at the moment, sort of sitting back, getting into their own sort of driving style.
And of course, also, the big thing about this is position 9th and 10th, right? Although you don't want to purposely come 9th and 10th, what it does for race 2, because the top 10 finishing order is reversed, you finish 10th, you essentially start off pole. You finish 9th, you start 2nd, you see how the pattern's forming. So sometimes if you're 9th in the last lap, it does actually pay to lose a spot to put you in prime position for race 2.
Yeah, so a bit of positioning going on, bit of gamesmanship, bit of strategy.
Oh, it's heating up now, isn't it?
Oh, last lap, look at this. Now they're all ducking and diving. Down into 2. They'll do the up and over 3. Can Bennett hold on from Hedge? Who's going to make the move? Who's going to try and duck down the inside? Ryan Bailey up there as well. Daniel Connor having a look. Shepherd's moved up from 9th down to 5th, so that's going to be good for his championship defence at the moment, well, a series leader at the moment.
And of course, what you got here is you actually got 4 or 5 of the championship contenders in the first half a dozen utes. So I doubt we're going to see a lunge. It's going to be desperate because it's also the championship. That's what it's all about here. Race glory is one thing, but championship, that's what it's all about.
So it's not just racecraft, not just racing room, it's also racing for points. He's trying not to, take the other guy out or the other lady out. So Peter Bennett doing a great job as they whip into the Dale ITM sweeper for the last time. Race 1 of the weekend. He's done it really smooth and fast, of course, is one of the iconic sayings in motorsport. They sometimes look slow, but...
Actually, Brownie, he hasn't given himself all the racing room here. We know how much draft he means in this. He didn't get the clean execution off, so are we going to see a late-minute dive there?
Down to the line. He'll be looking for the checkered flag. And just gets it. Right down to the wire. Great way to start the weekend. Bennett, Hedge and Bailey. Connor Allwest, Rowan Shepherd moving up to P6 after starting from position 9. Racing Ray Williams back down the field in 18th. Paul Booth dropping out of the top 10, just back to 11th. But overall, a good start to the weekend for Peter Bennett, one of the big improvers in the series.
It's probably the best race I've ever been a part of as well. We just really had to work for that one. Awesome battle with Callum. No inch given, but no inch taken either. It was just awesome, nice, clean racing, and he made that little mistake and I snuck down the inside and just held him out for the win. It was a good race.
Great fun battling with Dan, Ryan, Peter. Just a good race with all 5 of us. But heaps of bump drafting, heaps of leaning. Always fun with the SsangYongs.
We've got good pace this weekend, so hopefully we can carry it on. We've had good pace in practice, and hey, so something seems to be working for us this weekend.
So now the drivers have done their bit in race 1. The teams go to work in between the races. What do they work on, Mork?
Look, basically just repairing any damage, look at the tyre pressures, look at the wheel alignment, and just get it ready for race 2.
Stick around, that's coming up. From top drivers to teenagers, one of the great things about this series is a chance for young guys to learn how to go motor racing.
I'm Joshua Parkinson, I'm 14, I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. My aim for the season is basically just make improvements, maybe by the end of the season, just start making inroads on the top 10 and just learn how to drive a car and learn how to use a clutch and the gearbox and just make the most out of this experience. My favourite food has to be butter chicken. I love Indian food. My favourite movie has to be something out of the Marvel series. They're really good at the moment. And my favourite racing driver has to be Ayrton Senna.
So great to see Joshua Parkinson, one of the many teenagers in the field. Also, Peter Bogdanovic, a 16-year-old, lining up on pole alongside Murray Brook, Whitley, Mallard, Shepherd, All West, Connor, Bailey, Hedge and Bennett round out the top 10. Watch out for number 89, Joshua Parkinson. In that mid-pack, can he drive like one of the Marvel stars? And which Marvel star would he like to be? He certainly wouldn't be the Black Panther at the moment, which of course is all the rage with the mighty Marvels. Now the big feature of race 2 so far, Mork, no one who's won race 1 has ever been able to race back through the field and take race 2. So let's see what happens as Peter Bogdanovic leads us away in the second go around Hampton Downs.
Of course, you've got the young and the old here. You've got young Peter on the inside, and of course he's actually done this before earlier in the championship. But look, he's destined for start in the sky, and I think this is going to be the race. You know, he's got a lot of hard charges behind him. Murray Brook is one of them. So if he can just keep a clean set of heels, just keep charging ahead, you know, hitting all his marks, he's going to be very hard to get around.
Alexandra Whitley too and Christina All West, so watch out for 6 of those women drivers. What a great sight that is around the hairpin.
3 abreast, slowest corner, one of the tightest corners on the track, and it can be done. So here's Alexandra now. We know Murray Brook's on the inside of her, so if she goes down to the apex, means she's executed it. If not, means someone's there.
Doing double duty this weekend, also racing in the Porter Group V8 Ute Series as well, which and just getting more seat time from the SsangYong Ute to another Ute. It's just beaut for her because she's just getting racing and going better and faster all the time.
It's just that experience, isn't it? There is no substitution like race miles, and the only way you do that is you jump from one vehicle to another to another. So it's look, not the cleanest execution come off the last corner there for young Ryan Shepherd, but he might just tuck down the inside. Now at that point there, he's actually got to get across, right? So you see the yellow line, it goes to a white line. The rules and regulations are very simple. You have to have your ute back over the yellow line with a white dotted line. That indicates pit lane. If you carry on there, they'll just bring you straight through for a drive-through penalty.
As they flow down the iconic turn 1 at Hampton Downs, it's that blind right-hander, and that's always very, very difficult, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You just get in there, you throw the ute into the apex, and just hope that it comes off the end of it and carry as much momentum as you can, so you carry that through 2, 3 and 4, which is the sequence you're in now.
This is the flow part of the track, that tight sort of technical part, on board with Peter Bennett as they duck down and towards the higher pool hairpin. This is one of the great passing opportunities. You'll see them trying to line up as they go into the corner, and then they'll try and quickly duck down the inside and catch the other driver napping.
You don't want to catch napping too much, Brownie, because if you get it wrong, all right, then you've actually caught yourself out coming into this magnificent tight left-hand corner, and then it throws the whole game plan out. Because if you get this corner here wrong, you've got a short straight to get it right, but then you have that whole freight train that we referred to being attacking you.
Talking about getting it right and getting it wrong, a little bit of contact, exactly what you were talking about as you come down the dipper.
Ken Hunt, he's one of the true characters of this category, and he enjoys his racing as much as anybody.
So you got the blind right-hander at turn 1 and the blind dipper, 2 of the great features of racing here at Hampton Downs. Round 4 of the SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series. The other key thing about these cars, you've got the 2.3 litre motor, but you've got the 4-speed sequential gearbox. And what's the key about that?
The cool thing about that, it's like a supercar. When you want to change gear, you leave your foot hard on the throttle and pull the gear lever back. There's a mechanism, there's a hard pass here going on by Peter Bennett. There's a mechanism within the system that allows you to leave your foot hard on the throttle and leave the engine going. The experience when you feel it for the first time is the coolest thing ever.
So it's just bang, 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 boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so what it does, it momentarily cuts the engine management system out, so that unloads the gearbox. And then when you change your gear, everything just bursts back into life, but it happens in 50 milliseconds, so it's a very quick thing.
Are they hard on the gears around here?
No, not at all. No, now they understand what they're doing and how to go about it. You know, the first couple, everybody was banging and crashing exactly like they're doing on the sec. That's actually interesting. Callum Hedge there went in there and for whatever reason has been pushed off the track.
Easily done coming out of the high pull hairpin when they're 2 or 3 wide, and this is that corner where you'll see them getting right behind the old great terms for motor racing, the bump draft and leaning. What do you mean by leaning? How the hell can you lean in a car? Oh, contact!
Yeah, that was a big one there by Anthony Allen, actually number 44. Looks like he got on the curb by himself and actually just spat him into the other ute. Here we go.
So on board, that's more than leaning. That's the old bash and crash.
Yeah, he done all that by himself. Actually just got on there and left his foot hard on the throttle, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So when you lean on another car, what do you mean by that? How do they do that?
Well, basically, if you're going down the straight, you're just letting the person know you're there, or if you come into the corner and it tightens up, instead of freeing it up too much, you might just stay side by side and just rub wing mirrors or door handles, whatever it happens to be. But you do it in a way where you can both still get around the corner, as opposed to blatantly move the steering wheel halfway through and then try and push that person off the track.
So you watch them just really closely side by side, too wide around the corner like this.
Yeah, think of Auckland and peak hour traffic.
So this like a little bit of leaning there.
That's it, exactly right. Yeah, all that, nothing wrong with any of that, from my opinion.
And that's the classic rubbing is racing.
That's right, yeah, no one done anything silly, no one compromised each other, they just used each other to assist each other get off the corners.
And here's another classic example here as well.
Yeah, now these guys, are first and second in the championship. First, the black and orange ute, and then Peter Bennett, who was victorious in race 1. So these two here, albeit may not be leading the race, this is what the whole championship is about.
So 2 guys who know all about the pressure.
Oh, keep in mind, Brownie, a very interesting point. Peter Bennett, currently 3rd or 4th, depending how he gets on a Rowan Shepherd, never had anybody win the second race, reverse top 10. Are we going to see it here? Because he is in a very good place to do so.
And you'll see that Shepherd just leans on him and shuts the door coming out of turn 1. Vidanovic. Oh, look at that, chopping and changing.
Yeah, but you're entitled to move once down each straight. Okay, so if he had gone halfway down and went left and right to purposely block him, would have come out of attention. I don't see anything wrong with that, but it's heating up, isn't it?
Great racing here at the moment in the second showdown. Can he do the impossible? Mission impossible. Peter Bennett, number 28.
Well, it's going to be pretty hard for him. The reason being is that the championship contender, Rowan Shepherd, is in front, and of course his fiancée, Alexandra Whitney, is in front of him. So, and then we've got the hard charge, haven't we? Peter Bennett never won a race. You know, he's at the front. And my advice to him was at the beginning, if you're ever in the front, mate, just block out the mirrors. Be consciously aware where everybody is, but don't study the mirrors. Use them as a reference only, and make sure you keep looking ahead. You hit your apexes, hit your braking markers, hit your gear changes, and you'll be fine.
One of the keys about learning racecraft for a lot of these teenage drivers like the scholarship winner there, the blue car, number 16, Peter Vidanovic, is learning to race out in front, handling that pressure of racing for the checkered flag, and also what it's like to race in the rear view mirror. So you're looking ahead, always looking up, seeing where the space is, but also being aware of what's coming up behind and also beside you.
Exactly right. And what I said to you before about using reference as a reference, it's all too easy to keep looking in the mirrors and he gets preoccupied. And then when you look in the mirrors too much, you miss your apexes and your braking markers. There was a prime example. He looked in the mirror for a glance, eyes straight back ahead again.
Lets it flow through turn 2. Oh, Shepherd trying to duck down the inside of Whitley. She shuts the door.
The best news for Peter at the moment is these two battling. Right? They're taking speed out of each other by doing so, being defensive. Now, if Rowan Shepherd can actually get past Alexandra, I think he's got enough ute speed that he will get on the back of Peter pretty quick.
One of the many 14-year-olds in the field, Callum Hedge. Oh, contact.
Now, what happened there? Obviously got hit from behind.
On board Ryan Bailey, 39. Oh, bit more of the old love tap.
Yeah, he saw an opportunity down the inside, but that opportunity was always diminishing. It's one of those corners. At some stage, you has to get back to the apex. Fortunately, it's preoccupied.
And that becomes the argument where you see a gap, you go for it, and the other guy basically either is going for the normal racing line or they turn in.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, checkered flag time, and Peter Vidanovic gets the breakthrough victory. 1-2-5, 16 years old. How good is that? Another one of the great reasons why people go racing in this series, to learn racecraft for the future. Brilliant performance by Peter Vidanovic, great effort by Whitley, and also Rowan Shepherd. And once again, the guy that wins race 1, or the lady, can't win race 2. But I gotta say, Peter Bennett certainly gave it his best shot, but the winner for today in race 2, Peter Vidanovic.
I was just focused on putting in some good, consistent laps. I was trying not to look in the mirrors, but they were faster than me through some sectors, so I was just making sure I didn't need to defend, but yeah, it was great. It was my first race win, and to do it in this series was just awesome, given the scholarship opportunity I've been given.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race. I've been teaching Peter how to drive. He's a scholarship driver, so it was great that he had the win. It was great for me, but frustrating as hell because I couldn't quite get him. But we'd struggled this weekend for pace a little bit, so it was great to get on the podium.
Alexander was pretty hard to pass as normal, but yeah, credit to the guys in front, and congratulations to the scholarship win. That's awesome for him, his first win, so yeah, it's awesome.
Good skills, great to see the rest of the team, like Alexandra Whitley, helping out the young 16-year-old and even the series leader, Rowan Shepherd, right behind his first victory in the SsangYong Ute Racing Series. Race 3 coming up. Welcome back to the SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series. Cloudy and cool for the Sunday morning showdown. Rowan Shepherd handling the pressure, or is he? Trying to take the number 1 of Daniel Connor. Track conditions very, very good this morning. Should have a lot of speed out there as we take a look as they line up for this big showdown. And it's all about the speed from earlier races. Ryan Bailey starting on pole. He's been the quickest so far, alongside 17, and that's Callum Hedge. Second row of the grid features Rowan Shepherd, the series leader, alongside the series contender, Peter Bennett. That action continues right throughout this race. And of course, watch out for 1-2-5. Peter Vidanovic picked up his first win. Can he make it back-to-back wins? That's going to be the challenge from race 3. Once again, a rolling start. Big field. Great shots. Hampton Downs almost 3 wide as they steamroll down into turn 1 again.
Now, this is going to be the interesting race because you've got all the speed at the front of the field. All right, so you've got Ryan Bailey there coming into turn 2. He's got to be aggressive. He's got to be defensive. He's the meat in the sandwich. Callum Hedge, just get through 1, get through 2, set himself up. Oh, lots of hits everywhere. Bang. Oh, Callum Hedge got off the track. Just outside of the picture there. Yeah, definitely gone. Wow, early start.
Great shots on board. And you can just see how tight it is.
It is actually. Callum Hedge's been shuffled a long way back, isn't he, man? These guys mean business in this race.
What's the key thing with the opening lap when so many cars and you're also, look at this, 2-3 wide going down into the dipper?
Well, in particular this race, and this is why we've seen everybody so aggressive, is because this is the grid determined is off sheer speed. Right, so if you're 7th and you know the bloke or the girl or lady in front of you is equal speed, you've got to execute your move very early while the tyres are cold, the brakes are cold, and maybe the confidence is down a little bit.
So we talked a bit about the gearbox. What about the actual tyre package with the hand cranks?
Oh, it's a magnificent package. It doesn't matter how hard you throw these utes into corner. For corner after corner, lap after lap, it has to be the most forgiving tyre I've ever seen in any form of motorsport.
I tell you what, it hasn't taken too long for the two guys seriously in contention for the title to seriously grab the lead in race 3. Look at that, Bennett and Shepherd.
It's interesting, we've seen a whole lot of racing of utes going side by side into turn 2 there. Ryan Bailey and Callum Hedge go in there and only one comes out, so interesting to have a bit of a replay and find out exactly what transpired.
So it's Bennett who's grabbed the lead from Rowan Shepherd. I suppose the last thing that Shepherd can't really afford now is to actually have a DNF.
So that U17, that's what I was referring to. He went into turn 2 second and has come back out probably middle of the pack. So, you know, I've been praising this young fella for how mature he is. So let's see how much racecraft he's got to come back to the front of the field in a very short number of laps.
Also, as a classic example, you make one small mistake, the racing is so close, so exciting, so tight. And Van der Loos almost loses it.
It's not over yet, that's for sure, by any stretch of the imagination. Hang on.
That's like a merry-go-round.
You pay good money for a ride like that, don't you?
It should be a Rainbow's End. That was a never-ending journey, I tell you what.
And yet, we see it again, the two championship contenders at the front of the field. Peter Bennett, Rowan Shepherd, and of course Ryan Bailey, he's also in the championship hunt, so he's got to stay in there. He's kind of like a bit more of a mathematical equation in terms of championship contention. But the two blokes out the front, there's only 40 points separate them, so they are the main two contenders for it.
1-2-5, Peter Bogdanovic coming off his breakthrough win, being hounded by Murray Brook. Whitley further back down the field, and Hedge right up, pulling up to her bumper.
That's right, he's using that draft, using the big hole that the other utes punching in front of him, so he gives us more speed to try to make the pass into turn 1. If not, set up for turn 2. There you go, right down the inside like we spoke about.
You talked a bit about dings and dents in between races and tyre pressures. What would they sort of do for the normally every Sunday morning at the track is at its peak, the coolness, it's really good for speed. So what would you do with the tyres?
We actually work backwards in that equation, Brownie, and what I mean by that is that when you come in after the last lap, you want the tyres to be at a certain temperature. Now, whether that's 40, we'll use 40 as a datum for this point. Because the track's cold, you normally start with a couple of pounds higher tyre pressure because there's nowhere near as much ambient heat in the track to naturally build the tyre up. So you mechanically engineer the 40 pounds by starting the race a little bit earlier. Now, if it's stinking hot, you actually take tyre pressure out because it will generate more heat during the race.
Great performance, great shot here. Bennett, Shepherd, Bailey dominating the race. And look at that single file now.
It is. I think that they're just not quite close enough to have the crack. But in saying that, these two are definitely close enough.
89, Joshua Parkinson.
We're singing his praises before, weren't we? Man, he is a very mature young individual. And Brownie, we're so blessed with the amount of raw talent coming out. We've got Joshua Parkinson there. We've got young Peter, who of course won an early race. We've got Callum Hedge. We are absolutely spoilt for choice for the future of New Zealand motorsport.
I'm just wondering, someone may be watching this sitting at home and they'll say, he's 14 years old, how can he go motor racing yet he still can't drive a car on the road?
And that's a good thing about the New Zealand Motorsport Development Program. You don't need a road licence. You know, you just got to prove to the powers to be that you're mature enough, that you've got the racecraft, etc., apply for a licence and it's granted based on some certain conditions. But look, we're in the world, can you go racing at 14? Imagine when these kids hit 16 and 17 and 18, they've already got 4 years of racing under them. The world's at their disposal.
And most of them come out of what, karting?
Yeah, certainly a majority of them do, but there's some of the drivers got no experience at all. They just jump in, they drive the ute, they develop their skills, and a lot of what we're seeing from these young people is just raw talent coming out and being nurtured and developed at the same time.
On board with Rowan Shepherd, he's got a really good look of number 28, that's Peter Bennett up in front, and exactly what we were talking about. Have a listen to the sound of the motor. 28, Peter Bennett, he's one of those guys who's jumped into one of these utes a couple of years later, and here he is challenging for the title.
That's exactly right, and this is what I love so much about this SsangYong action series. It develops the up-and-coming superstars of the motorsport. It also gives the opportunity for some of the experienced contenders to go and show that, you know, they've still got the skill to mix with anybody. You know, what other category can you race side by side, corner for corner, lap after lap? It's just staggering how competitive this category is, but more importantly, how it's nurturing the next generation of the Scott Dixons and the Scott McLaughlins, etc., of New Zealand motorsport.
Classic, you mentioned Scotty Dixon, of course, actually started racing as a 13-year-old around New Zealand before going all the way to the Indy 500 and the Indianapolis.
Yep, and that's the development programs in New Zealand motorsport, and that's what makes New Zealand motorsport so neat in my opinion.
So it's the third race of the weekend, round 4, SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series. Further back down the field, the likes of Callum Hedge there, Whitley, Joel Herbert in there too. So stacks of cars. Murray Brook doing a great job. Paul Booth out of Dunedin, Mark Mallard all having a chance to. And of course, every driver will have their own PB they're trying to do at the same time, aren't they?
Yeah, and of course, you've got likes of Paul Booth and Mark Mallard there, a little bit further up the field than where they have been before. And of course, that brings different challenges in for them. They're racing with different people. They need to learn the strengths and the weaknesses and capitalise on those when they're presented.
Talking about presented, they've done a great job this weekend. And this is what it's like to take the checkered flag. Peter Bennett on board with the 28. Oh, what a feeling. Yeah, baby. Bring it on down. Peter Bennett taking that checkered flag from Rowan Shepherd, Ryan Bailey. That's your top three as we wrap up race 3. Connor Allwest, Vodanovic, good skills. Mallard, Brook, Gibson, Callum Hedge got back up into the top 10 after a disastrous start. Herbert, Whitley, Parkinson, Fletcher, Barry, Mallard better back down the field, and Lance Northcott as well. Tom Vanderloos recovered from his big lose. Amanda West bringing up the rear of the field.
This morning, cooler conditions has got this MWN ute on absolute rails in the mornings. We've just found some real pace in this car and it's just absolutely awesome. We came into the weekend just trying to stay in the hunt for the championship, so to be closing in on Rowan for the final round in Pookie in a few weeks' time is going to be awesome showdown. Yeah, happy with that. We didn't quite beat the man we want to beat, but yeah, the start was pretty intense. See how the next one goes.
Peter and Rowan just had a little bit more pace than me, but can't complain. 2/3 the Futura Trailers ute has been right up there all weekend. We've had some fastest laps, so stoked with how the weekend's going. Good weather, can't complain. It's nice to race in the dry for once. Hi, I'm Ryan Bailey. We're here at Hampton Downs for race 4. So far, we've had a great weekend with awesome results. Hopefully, we can carry it on for the rest of the weekend.
And Ryan Bailey starting back from row 4, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad so far for number 28, Peter Bennett. 2 wins from 3 races. He'll be on pole for race 4 alongside the championship leader at the moment, number 2, Rowan Shepherd. Then it's Allwest, Connor. 1-2-5, Peter Vodanovic getting his breakthrough. Whitley, Alexandra Whitley, the coach, helping him out. And then, of course, Bailey, Brook, Mallard, Callum Hedge all making up that top 10 as we get set to go racing for the 4th and final time. Round 4, Hampton Downs. And plenty of action guaranteed. The Super SsangYongs.
Both these guys at the front have got everything to battle for and everything to lose. So Rowan Shepherd a little bit wide coming off turn 1, but he'll just keep the momentum going. Daniel Connor, he could be the spoiler in this actually. That's a yellow ute just stuck in out of the side there, but side by side, give each other racing room. It will happen all day, every day through 2. But man, this is an angry looking pack, isn't it?
Great sound as they do the up and over between 2 and 3. This is the key braking points as you go down to the high pull hairpin. On board with Joshua Parkinson.
Oh, he's going to run out of real estate. Well, no point putting your hand up, mate, because we didn't see part of it, but it looks like he just went in a bit deep and probably outbroke himself. And
lack of grip out there in the outer part of the corners, what they term as putting yourself onto the marbles.
That's exactly right. Yes, the marbles are just to build up a debris. It could be tyres, it could be rocks, it could be dirt. And of course, when you get out there, it's like driving in the rain or even ice for that matter. You have no mechanical grip, and the rest is just history once you get out there, that's for sure.
Serious racing out in front because this is all about who's going to go to Pukekohe for the endurance double. 2 90-minute races to decide who is going to be the champion this year. So it's all about positioning yourself for that showdown and also positioning yourself for this showdown on the track.
And if you've got to get across that blend line as we've spoken about before, but Ryan Bailey there, oh, here we go. Oh man, there is no real estate left there whatsoever, is there? That there is perfect racing. Oh, that's not.
And onto the brakes. Pulls it back up. Bennett just drifting wide out of turn 1. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't really drifting there, Brownie. He was actually assisted because Daniel Connor got onto him twice. That's not the best thing to do, especially on that part of the track.
Yeah, that was a bit more of the bump draft, wasn't it?
Yeah, what happened there, he just had so much speed going into the braking zone that he probably couldn't take enough off, and He's probably just as well that Peter Bennett was there, because if not, he would end up in the jail.
Close racing at the moment. Oh, drama there for Shepherd.
Shepherd's gone in a bit hard, a little bit of rubbing on the way in, locked it up. And now this is the freight train we're talking about. He's got to re-establish himself, but he went in there, what, first or second? Now he's probably back 7th or 8th.
Alexandra Whitley on board with her. She goes down the dipper behind Christina Raw West. See how they let the momentum carry them through the apex, and then it's when you get on is the key to that exit speed.
Yeah, Rowan Shepherd, he can't win the championship here, but it can certainly go a long way towards losing it. And like you said, the next round is endurance. So there is another whole different range of elements that come into that one, because you've got co-drivers as well. So, you know, he is going to be leaning, he is going to using every ounce of racecraft that he has developed over the years to get him back up and minimise that points difference now between him and Peter.
He'll be very angry at the moment. He'll be a frustrated championship leader. That's number 2, Rowan Shepherd.
Yeah, but you can't be frustrated when you're a championship leader, Brownie. You've got to settle yourself down, as hard as it is to do. You've got to regather, you've got to rethink about it, re-strategise, and keep forging ahead. If you take any emotion in after that incident, you're just going to go backwards.
Because I suppose if you're driving on feeling and driving on emotion or driving on anger, that's when more mistakes can happen.
That's right, you get frustrated, you know, and then other people start leaning on you. You miss your brake markers, you miss your throttle application points, and then it all comes unstuck. And it comes unstuck so quick you wouldn't believe it.
So we've had 3 race winners so far this weekend. Peter Bennett's picked up 2. Vidanovic has picked up 1. Who is going to pick up the 4th and final? Who is going to go to Pukekohe for the double endurance showdown with the lead in the series? Can Shepherd, there he is there in the orange ute. Oh, just locking it up, having a look down the inside. Whitley pushing Bailey up, and he stays on the tarmac, so that's good racing.
He does. Look, Alexandra, she overcommitted herself to the apex, but Ryan had that presence of mind to know, you know, that she was coming in with a bit of head of steam and gave her racing room, and you know, if there was a little bit of contact, then so be it, but they actually got around the corner.
Conditions slightly warmer than what it was with the earlier race today when it was cooler at the start of racing. So they would just tweak the tyre pressure this afternoon?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of fine tuning. You wouldn't want to do any more because you're in such close battle. You know, you've got the wash from the other ute in front of you. You can't really see where your braking markings are, so sometimes you're just better off going with the package that you've got instead of engineering yourself backwards, which does happen all too often.
Great shot about what it's like to go around turn 1 here at Hampton Downs. On board, Peter Bennett, the race leader.
That had understeer and oversteer at the same time. Understeer is when you turn the steering wheel and the ute has a tendency to keep going straight ahead. And oversteer is when you turn the steering wheel and the back wants to step out on you. It was magnificent footage.
And look how close they are doing the up and over between 2 and 3.
Yeah, like you've got to manhandle these utes, you know. If you're trying to do the switchback and set them each other up, you've physically got to drag the ute down. And it's a lot of work. And, you know, when you interview these guys and girls after the race, it's no wonder they're sweating. It's compulsory that all the windows have to be up. They don't have a great deal of cooling, so it is physical work.
So they're not dressed.
Yeah, he's... Now, we get to the point where he's more than letting them know that he's there, okay? We saw it coming into turn 1 a little bit earlier in the race, and we might forgive him because of the amount of speed he had, but now he's just tap, 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 I'm here.
Someone's lost their wing mirror. So they're not racing around like the Stig with a bit of classical music going on in the background.
Well, they might have a whole lot of demons going on in their head, Brownie, I wouldn't know about, but I wouldn't thought it'd be too much music.
Here it is, the classic racing. Single file, all getting the draft. Bennett, Connor, All West, Vidanovic, Shepherd.
Okay, Rowan Shepherd, he's minimised that thing, but look at that blue ute. Hasn't he done fantastically well so far this weekend? You know, earlier race win, which was the reverse top 10, so he benefited. His position 4th, essentially battling for the lead. Now, this is just done on pure skill and pure confidence he's got. And like they say, success breeds success, doesn't it?
And look at how skillful number 1, Daniel Connor, the current champion, has just muscled his way almost into the lead. He's going to have the inside line going into the high pull hairpin. But Bennett leans him out wide.
And all this does, it plays into the benefit of Rowan Shepherd, okay? Because they're all 4 of them battling with each other. You know, Rowan Shepherd is probably 6 or 7 car lengths back last lap. Now he's right in contention of this race win.
And you could see Christina Raw West is getting right behind Daniel Connor. Now he's in make-up mode. He's gone back to the inside, coming out of the dipper. so he still hasn't lost the lead. Great racing, side by side, 2 to 3 wide.
So what, this is lap 3, side by side, the first 4 cars? It's just like the start all over again, isn't it? They just haven't realised that the start's actually taken place. That's what we're saying, corner for corner, lap after lap, door handle to door handle.
And we talked about this right back
3 to 1, this ain't going to be good.
the first race of the series. How can you be 3 wide coming out of the sweeper?
Oh, yeah, no. I just hope they work together, because what happens here, it's a funnel effect. They can be 3 wide, but at some stage they all have to come over.
And look at that, they've given each other some racing room. And now they're still 3 wide going down into turn 1. Connor, last lap, thrilling stuff. Shepherd making up for lost ground, and there's the 2 series contenders being squeezed either side of, the young teenager.
Mate, how good is that job that Peter's doing right there? The 2 championship contenders, either side of him, he didn't care. He wants to prove his point as a young fella. Man, that's brave stuff.
And that's a great comeback by Rowan Shepherd, who's now got back in front of Peter Bennett.
And that, you know, we've talked about it before, Brownie, about the freight train. If you falter once, you're just going to drop back, and other people take advantage.
And you also talked a bit about don't get angry, don't get frustrated, try and keep cool, calm and collected, and regather your need for speed and your braking points, and exactly what the orange sheet number 2 NZ Rowan Shepherd has done. He dropped back out of the top 5. Now he's into a place on the podium.
Yep, and that's what makes champions.
And that's going to be the key thing going into Pukekohe, the final round to decide, will he be the 1 NZ instead of 2 NZ?
And this battle isn't over yet. We know that if he drops back and gets an absolute flyer coming off this last sweeper and can carry the momentum and he, jump into the draft, he still might get another spot yet.
And what a great way to finish round 4, Hampton Downs. The defending champion, number 1, Daniel Connor. So good for so long. Right behind him, Christina Allwest, who's been such a champion women racer. And Rowan Shepherd, the man who wants to lead going into Pukekohe to finally become the champion. And that's how they wrap up the podium for race 4 at round 4. Connor, Allwest and Shepherd. Bennett, the other series contender, right behind him, right up to the bumper and catching up on points. So a thrilling weekend in Hampton Downs, setting up a superb showdown, the 2-way long endurance battle at Pukekohe to decide who will be the champ for 2018.
First podium of the weekend, and it was a win, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's been a tough weekend, really tough weekend. Everyone's quick, so we've had to try and change the ute and try and get it quicker. And the MTF ute and went good, and everyone that's helped made a good improvement through the weekend. So happy with that.
It feels like it's been a very long drought being back. So no, it was a really tough race. I think we're all really evenly matched, and I think Peter's ute wasn't handling very well. And he was backing me and Connor up, but to only miss it by 009 on the finish line, it was kind of gutting that I just missed the win.
A pretty mental race, but yeah, third is what we want, so it's awesome.
And that keeps Rowan Shepherd in front of the championship points by 53 from the nearest contender, Peter Bennett. Who is going to be the wild card as we head to Pukekohe for the double enduro to decide the champion? Will it be Christina Allwest? Will it be Badinovic? Could it be number 1, Daniel Connor? Who will be number 1? Stick around when we find out when we go racing again with the SsangYong Action Ute Racing Series. SsangYong Action Racing Series brought to you by BNZ, LDV, Hankook, Elf and BGW Wheels.